So good morning to everybody who's joined us today. This is our fourth webinar, I think. And we're going to be focusing today on the Dimensions curriculum in a special needs setting. And we're joined today by Carolyn Duncan from Orrets Meadow Special School on the Wirral. Couple of little housekeeping things. I'd appreciate if you pop yourselves on mute. Just helps if anybody's got any little background noises and things to disrupt anyone. And if you want your camera off, then that is absolutely fine. Do not feel that you need to have your camera on during our session. Before we may as well get started. So I'm just going to pull up my little set of questions for Carolyn, because they're on my other computer. I'm just going to start asking Carolyn a little bit about herself. She's going to tell you who she is, what her school is like, and then she will be sharing a PowerPoint presentation with us just to talk about the journey of Orrets Meadow as a Dimensions school, and specifically how the curriculum has been adapted to work in this very unique and special setting. So, Carolyn, hello, hope you're well, and just tell us a little bit about you personally from your professional perspective.
Right, so I'm Carolyn. I'm the head teacher at Orrets Meadow School. I'll tell you more about the school in a little bit. I'm in my 10th year being a head teacher. I was for a long time, 15 years in mainstream, and then I was approached to come and teach at Orrets Meadow School and become the head teacher. So I've got a lot of mainstream background. I was in one of the biggest schools in the country on the Wirral, 4 entry school, then went to become an assistant head at a school in a very deprived area. I've been the computing advisory teacher for Wirral. Then went on to be the key stage leader, then became a deputy head in another school, a mainstream school. And while we were there, we did the Dyslexia Friendly Award, and the LA approached me and said that there was a lovely little special school that is looking for a head teacher, and asked me would I apply for it. So here I am 10 years later. I thought I was only coming for 3 years and here I am, and I absolutely love this school, and it's completely transformed and changed from the school that I first came to. So is that okay on that bit? And
that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to share the screen and open up. And where's it? Let me just check where it's gone.
While Carolyn's just doing that, if anybody's got any questions that they'd like to put to Carolyn, stick them in the chat box at the side. I'm going to monitor that, and we'll put them to her at the end of the presentation, just in case, you know, she may answer it during our chat. So if you've got any questions, pop them in the box, and I'll pick them up at the end.
Okay, let me just open this. I hope everybody can see this. Can everybody see? It's just covering the thing. Let me just move that.
Is everybody able to see this? Give us a little thumbs up if you.
Can everybody see?
Yeah,
can everybody hear me still? Right, okay, let me just move you all now so you're not covering it. Okay, so there's my little first screen. So let me tell you about Orrets Meadow School then. So it's a special school for 70 pupils, so it is small. We've got 7 classes. There's between 10 and 12 in each one. When I first joined 10 years ago, it was a school for specific learning difficulties.
Sorry, Carolyn, just to stop you a second, love. I can just see the sort of editing screen. I can't see the full PowerPoint on a full screen. Nothing's moved. There we go. Through.
Can you see that?
No. That might just be me though.
Can everybody else see the screen? Elaine, can you see it?
Yeah, it's kind of, you're edited with them down the side. Should it be just the slide in the middle? Or
from the beginning, can you?
No.
Let me just stop the screen and let's go back again.
Let's try again.
Okay, it's at the bottom.
If not, we can still see your slides.
So let me try this one.
Yeah.
Can you see that now?
Yes.
Ah, that's the
There
one.
we go.
We okay now?
Yes,
Rock and
fabulous.
roll.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, right, good. We always have a bit of a technical hitch.
Always.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, so back to where we were then. So it was a school for specific learning difficulties. With time, the LA has needed more places for children with autism. I think this is a general thing across the country. And so we've now transferred across to being a school 100% ASD, not really any children with SPLD. So it's completely transformed school. When I first joined, it was just Key Stage 2 as well. And as earlier intervention is being put in place, we are now a school for 5 to 11-year-olds. It's majority boys, in fact 78% are, so there's not many girls here. 95% white ethnicity, 39% ever 6 free school meals. And as I've said, the main needs are ASD, but we've also got the children have got the crossover of ADHD, speech and language dyspraxia, a lot of anxiety. A lot of children were not attending school before they came here, and we've worked on magic getting them back into school every day. And that's a big part of it has come through our curriculum. Children generally, when they start here, have turned off school. They don't enjoy school. And we've got to get them back loving learning and loving school. So that's the background of the school. Do you want to do your next?
Okay, yeah. So now that we know a little bit more about your school, and you've talked about you and your professional journey into the school, you've been there for 10 years. What did it look like? What did the curriculum look like pre-dimensions? So when did you decide to implement dimensions? What's that kind of time frame there from pre to now?
Yeah, okay. So basically, about 4 years ago, we had Ofsted, and Ofsted gave us outstanding across all areas. It was the new framework then. But one of the areas that we felt wasn't good enough was our afternoon curriculum, but the focus of Ofsted then wasn't about the afternoon curriculum. So 3 years ago, we did a review of our curriculum, and we were coming up with things that we thought the children weren't as engaged in the afternoon. We felt they were getting extremely tired. They weren't as motivated. There was too much writing in the afternoon. These children have obviously got their difficulties. Most of them are working 2-3 years behind their age related. It's a very intense morning with basic skills. We have phonics, then English, then maths, then mental maths. Then we do additional need groups. And then it's take a breath, it's lunchtime. Lunchtime then finishes at 1:30. So then for 2 hours of each day, we have our afternoon curriculum. But we were finding the children weren't as engaged as what they were in the mornings. Staff seemed to be endlessly planning disjointed lessons. There was no themes across things, and it was very subject led. We were finding that the children really were present in the room in the afternoons, but could they actually remember any of the knowledge? Probably not. It was more of they were there, but not remembering and learning. We were finding, as I say, that when you spoke to the children and did surveys, they weren't as interested in the afternoon lessons. It was all about the morning lessons. As I say, staff spending an awful lot of time planning endlessly, so well-being of staff wasn't the best either. So 3 years ago, we'd done our review and we decided, right, let's take the bull by the horns and let's do something about our afternoon curriculum. So I'm just going to go to the next slide and tell you now about what we did. So first thing we did was I created a TLR3 role. I put out an advert across the staff and asked who'd like to develop the curriculum. One of my more senior members of staff said that they'd love to get their teeth into it. So we did a consultation with the teachers, the TAs, the parents, pupils, governors, anybody who would talk to us. And we asked them, what did they think our whole curriculum, that's mornings and afternoons, needed to look like? Because what we were finding is it wasn't meeting the changed needs of our pupils. The school had transformed to being more ASD, more multisensory, more about life skills and social skills. And we needed a curriculum that met that need. So this was all put together, and that helped us create then our curriculum aims and our values. So I'll just give you a second to read the aims, which are at the bottom. So key things: we wanted a broad, varied, interesting learning experience. We wanted the children to enjoy the curriculum, it to be relevant for their futures of being autistic children. It had to be creative to get them excited again about learning, had to be multi-sensory so that they could access it. We wanted them to get that sense of awe and wonder so that they were absolutely held and gripped in the lessons. And we wanted to inspire a lifelong love of learning so that they did go home and they wanted to find out more about what they'd been learning in school. We wanted to promote mental health. We wanted well-being and it to enhance the children's life skills, social skills and cultural awareness. So they were our aims. We then had our values, which again came from what all those different stakeholders had come. So you can see there, we came up with 10 key values with which whatever our curriculum was to look like, it had to promote these 10 things. And as I say, it didn't come from just one stakeholder, it came from many different stakeholders. So you can see them. So that's our lovely display in the hall. Outside, we've had that put on the wall so that everything we do now has to come back to our aims and our values. So we had those in hand now. This is before we approached Elaine or anybody. This had to be met. So our next thing then was we approached Elaine. We actually looked not only at Elaine, we looked at a mass variety of curriculums. We got in touch with a lot of local schools. We spent a lot of time looking at curriculums across the country. We looked at published ones, homemade ones. We even debated, should we also create our own? But after having spoken to Elaine, and Elaine came over to the school as well and talked us through her curriculum, we decided that Learning Means the World is the curriculum for us. So why? So it's about 4 C's, which you could see on the board before. So the first one being culture. So we're mainly white, as we said before. So we want our children to embrace cultural diversity. Basically, being from a very white background, they didn't have a lot of experiences of what other cultures there are out there. So that was a key thing that the Learning Means the World curriculum offers. Our children have got autism, so communication had to be a key area that we needed focusing on. Again, Learning Means the World, that's a massive focus, is communication. Okay. We wanted the children to obviously be more aware of global issues, very sheltered lives. A lot of ours have got. Parents don't very often give them any experiences. The parents themselves have got a lot of special needs, and there's a lot of anxiety with a lot of parents have taken them out into the big wide world. So we've got to get them more aware of what's going on in their homes and in the world of Orrets Meadow. So we wanted them to learn more about local, national and global issues, which again, Learning Means the World, that's what that brings to it. And then the final thing with autistic children, they don't know socially how to cope with situations and problems we find. So this curriculum also deals with conflict and through it helps them develop empathy, looks at positive relationships, not only in school and at home, but also in the community. And it makes them appreciate and respect other people, not only their own point of view. Autistic children, as you're probably aware, are very self-centered, and it's very much about their needs being the first. So we've got to get them to start appreciating other points of view. So basically, we had our aims, we had our values, we'd got those together with all our stakeholders. We then had Elaine come in, having looked at other curriculums as well. And we felt that Learning Means the World, with their 4 foci being these 4 C's, met what we were looking for. Now, on top of that, we also, though, wanted a curriculum that was going to promote SMSC, as you know, that's huge in Ofsted as well. And we also wanted a life and social skills element to it because of our children having autism. And the side bit was it had to cover the national curriculum as well. And Learning Means the World does all of that in abundance. Yeah. Okay, so that's why we then went with it. So if you go on our website, I couldn't put the link on through here, but I don't mind sending the PowerPoint through, and then you can click on it or just take the note. Just search for Orrets Meadow School. If you then go to the tab that's called curriculum, you'll get everything that we've done for curriculum is on there in abundance. So first thing we did now is we've decided now on the Learning Means the World curriculum is we had to now tweak it to make it fit our children. Now, our children, as I said before, are age 5 to 11. They're all working at least 2, 3, some 4 years behind their age-related expectations. So we knew straight away a curriculum which is for year 5 and 6 wasn't going to meet our needs. So we spoke to Elaine and asked, could we adapt the curriculum and take the bits that we felt met our needs, which was the Explorers bits, which we've called as the pre-national curriculum, which is the early years, up to the end of the year 3, 4, which for us is our year 5, 6. So how we've done it is our year 1s and 2s are in a class. They're doing the Explorers curriculum, which is pre-national curriculum. And then we've got our 3s and 4s are doing the year 1 and 2 curriculum, which is the Pathfinders. And then we've got our year 5 and 6s are doing the Adventurers curriculum, which is the 3, 4s. Now, we don't put a ceiling on that, though, because obviously if we had a child come through the door that was an absolute genius in an area, then obviously we have got the Navigators, which is the 5, 6 curriculum available that we could use. So that is still there. Yeah. We've also got all the skills ladders that go right the way up to year 6 as well. So the scope is there, but we've created a curriculum which we think meets our needs. Now, you're probably looking there and thinking, well, why has Explorers got so many units? So we've had to bring in extra units there, which Elaine's team have created because it's created for foundation children, and our children are older in year 1 and 2 and are age 5 to 7. We found that the units, we needed more content because they are aimed for early years children. Yeah. So we've also included extra units off Elaine's list to bulk out the Explorers curriculum. Yeah. Now you'll see also at the end of the curriculum, the second to last row, we have brought in also that the children should do more local study. So we already had in our old curriculum what we classed as being fabulous units about where we live. So we wanted to keep that. So we've kept those in. So where it says Wonders of Wirral, so it's the last two, the last column on the top 2 rows, and then rows 3 to 6. We've got Wonders of Wirral. That's all about our local area. So that's a geography focused topic. And then where you can see the last column in rows 3 to 6, they're our extra theme week topics on areas when we sat with Elaine that we felt maybe was a little bit of a gap and we wanted just to do a little bit of an extra focus for a week. Yeah. So basically that's what our long-term afternoon curriculum looks like. Our mornings are still phonics, English, maths, mental maths, and additional need groups where we look at their EHCPs and we look at what other needs have the children got. And for half an hour every day, the children have an additional need group. Then it's lunchtime, and then the afternoons looks like this. They'll do their topic. Now, the topics are 6 weeks long each. We still do specific discrete science lessons, which is the last week of every half term. And the reason we do that is because what we were doing originally was a science lesson a week, and the children could not remember what they'd done the week before. So us blocking it in science weeks works for us. Now, it's also covered in our Learning Means the World curriculum. So how we use that is they're taught, for example, light for a themed discrete week. Then they revisit it in the topics Learning Means the World. So when Ofsted come in and go, what if the child's off for that themed week and they've missed light? We've then got overlearning where we revisit that learning for the children that we're in, but the children that mightn't have been in for that week, they then are able to catch up on any learning and revisit it through Learning Means the World. So by the end of the Adventurers curriculum, the Science National Curriculum has been covered up to the end of year 4 twice through themed weeks and Learning Means the World. Okay, so other things that we do as well, let me just flip to the next page, is we also have on top of the afternoon curriculum, we have social skills, discrete lessons, we have life skills, discrete lessons, we have SMSC, discrete lessons, we have PE, discrete, although dance is built into Learning Means the World. So that's how our curriculum would look. I could send, if you wanted to see what a timetable, a weekly timetable looks like. Okay, so how have we adapted our learning now to make sure that the dimensions meets our needs? So our children, as I said at the beginning, have got ASD. We've got to cut down the amount of language we use and the amount of writing. So we have in every subject book and every topic book, we have widgets. So also when Ofsted come in, then they're going to say to us, they're doing a deep dive in history. What we don't want to be doing is sitting there spending hours going through history books trying to find where all the history is, because we know it's there. Yeah. And obviously the planning books also has that in detail, but the actual children's book. So every time they change a subject in the topic book, we've created on stickers the subject, and it's as a widget so the children can understand as well. The children have got to be able to Ofsted to say that they've just done history. So it's really important in their book, they know it's a history lesson, and then it's identified right the way through the topic book.
It also jogs memory as well, doesn't it? Like you say, so when they'd be going from one week to the next and they haven't remembered things from their science, but like if you go between subjects because it's thematic, at least then you can go back and go, look, this is what we did in history, and you can see the widget straight away. That's a really, really good adaptation, even for just mainstream school.
Yeah, so and it does seem to work. So we're in our 3rd year of doing dimensions now. Obviously last year was a bit of a nightmare with COVID, but we've got 3 sets of 4 dimensions topic books now, and each year it's getting better and better. But I just wanted to show you that's one of the ways that we've adapted with the widgets. Okay, so
how did you sorry to interrupt you, Carolyn, just on that note of COVID, really, like how did you find being closed? How did you adapt then even more for home learning? How did that work with you guys?
So we did Google Classroom. Each child had an account. I'm going to be honest with you, some engaged more than others because of their own parents' learning needs and the children. We created packs for them. We gave them dimensions work that we'd created. So obviously we didn't just give them the booklet, because that's not for parents or children, but we created more accessible learning from the dimensions. It's not obviously as good as being in a classroom being taught it, because you can't get the full experience, but we did the best we could to ensure they still got a broad curriculum on Google Classroom. So this is pictures now of some of the things you can see. They've just been doing Greeks versus Sparta, Greeks versus Sparta one. So you can see we've had Greek days. So every dimension unit has an ELE, an essential learning lesson, and that's an experience there where the children get gripped into it. So some of the classes start with their ELE and some finish with it. So you can see the Greek one there, they finished with it. You can see them all dressed up with their pots and things, and that they'd been learning all about the Olympic Games and all about the Greeks. So you can see other children as part of their science unit, as part of Learning Means the World. They were looking in the pool, the puddles to get shadows and the light. You could see others there were doing about height. You can see some at the top there are hugging trees as part of their topic work. You can see people at the top there were making bread and making Play-Doh and things like this. At the bottom there is life skills. They went to the station and they were buying their own tickets. We've got at the bottom there them making puppets as part of one of the topics. So you can see it's very multi-sensory. It's now got the children fully engaged in learning. The afternoons now have got a buzz around them. They love their learning. The parent surveys that came out and the pupil surveys are all saying that the children now are excited to be in the classrooms in the afternoon. They're loving learning again. There's a real buzz feeling as you walk around now in the afternoon, whereas it was a bit dry and I don't know, it was just boring, if I'm honest with you. The children absolutely love it now. They love this topic feel, so that they're not going from suddenly rivers one day to the next day they're doing the Vikings, to the next day they're doing it's all themed now. They get fully immersed that everything they're doing, for example, is Athens versus Sparta, and it's the whole afternoon is engrossed in that area. So there's some things there. Here's examples of boards. So in the hall, I've put them all on one page, but it goes round the hall. So you can see some of the topics that we've just done. We've got Happily Ever After there. So it goes in age groups. So the dinosaurs unit is one of the extra units for our pre-national curriculum learners, our explorers. We've got Happily Ever After there. They love that, but you can see there's not much writing. It's lots of examples in the books of experiences, multi-sensory learning that they've done. That's our Pathfinders one. We've got Land Ahoy. They love this, being pirates and learning all about voyages and everything. So that's another Pathfinders one. We've got then our next groups. We've got Law and Order now, 2 classes a year 6. We're quite top heavy this year. It changes each year depending on the children that are in the school. So we've got 2 doing Law and Order, and we've got 2 doing Athens versus Sparta. But you can see already the 2 classes have got different abilities and they've got their different approaches. I don't tell them how to teach it. They decide how to teach it. The booklet is there with the lesson objectives and the ideas for the lessons, and the planning is all there, but we adapt it to meet the needs of our pupils. You can see on the boards also, going back to our values, we've put on the board which values does that topic cover. So it all comes back to, in the hall, we've got our aims, our values, our boards celebrating what learning they've been doing, what values are in those topics, our merits at the end of the week. They get certificates, again, celebrating learning, and that's all linked again to our values again. So it all comes together now as a really good, neat package. So the next thing we've got is obviously we're due Ofsted any day. So we're hoping they're going to be as impressed with what we've done, and hopefully that they can see that the children are now learning and remembering their knowledge, their sticky knowledge more, because it's through an experience, it's through exciting, memorable methods of teaching it. We're hoping they can feel that the children are enjoying learning. And hopefully they can see the progression from our explorers right the way through to the end of our adventurers, and hopefully it's going to be a really positive experience. We can't wait to show them now. Our topic books are exemplary, I feel. The work that's in them is brilliant.
I love the inclusion of a lot of photographs. You know, that's I like the fact, books. You looking at the boards as well. You know, there's so many photographs, and it means then that, you know, pieces of writing can sometimes get a bit become a bit anonymous. And then if you've got a photograph of somebody doing it, they can go, that was me, I did that. You know, it makes it even more personal to them, doesn't it? And it shows their kind of learning journey from. Well,
we've got a Facebook page. The Facebook page is updated every day, so that's got all over it about our topics as well. So that's lots of pictures The books do have some bits of writing in, obviously you can't just get away with none. However, it is not a focus on writing now, and with the changing needs of the children, it's got to be a mixture of experiences and multi-sensory, lots of VAC learning going on, visual, audio and kinesthetic learning, to make the children remember what they've done, and hopefully they can tell you now what they did last lesson and where they're going next as well, and hopefully we can tell you what they've just learned in the lesson as well, and they know what subject they've just been taught because of the focus. Right, I think that's my bit done.
That's your bit. Just
questions?
like a couple of little things to kind of, summarize, said all these fabulous things that's adapted and how you changed it and how it works for your children. Is there anything from starting your Dimensions journey that hasn't worked and that you've gone, no, that didn't work, let's not try that one again?
I mean, I'd say the main thing originally was obviously it panicked us thinking the year 5-6 curriculum was there, but we've been able to sort that with our curriculum here, and obviously with Elaine as well. We spoke to that because that was a concern. We just saw the navigators and thought our children won't be able to achieve much on there, but that's been sorted. I wouldn't overly say there's much else other than maybe some of the topics have got too much content in them for our children. So, but there is the scope that we can cut down on some areas ourselves, so long as we get the main concepts in, because obviously, I would say they're written for mainstream schools. We have, adapted, parts of it. But on the whole, honestly, the teachers' well-being is so much better because it is planned for them, and we haven't had to sit there and create skills ladders and progression of knowledge, and we haven't had to sit there and get all the resources together. We do supplement some resources. So I'd say the main thing, if I was to say to the staff now, what's the main thing that hasn't worked overly, is sometimes some of the topics have got too much in them for special need children, but it's so easily sorted. And we've just taken out any bits that we felt we can lose. Okay,
excellent. I mean, really, I think you've covered everything that you've needed to cover, really, and it's been really great to hear how a curriculum's been adapted to your unique setting. And I think there's quite a few things there that you'd want to do that in a mainstream school as well. I think there's a lot that we can take away from it. I'm going to open it up now to anybody, if they've got any questions or if they've got any comments that they'd like to fire at Carolyn now. I'm aware that we're about 40 minutes in. We'll probably keep going for another 5 to 10 minutes. Has anybody got anything that they would like to share or ask? Open it up to you.
Hopefully I've done my job well and told you everything.
Clearly have, yeah, you clearly done.
I would say have a look on our website, and I'd have a look on our Facebook page, because that obviously celebrates more. Has anybody got anything they want to ask specifically? I don't know, you all special schools or not, I don't know. Is there anything anybody'd like to ask about how I've put it in place? Or
no, like it was really interesting listening to you, because we're new to Learning Means the World this term. And I love the idea of the widget symbols of the subjects, because we've been using color-coded stickers, but actually that's such a good idea, using widget symbols for the subjects. I didn't think about that, so I think I'll start implementing that.
Throw it through the photocopier. So we've created a master sheet on the, I don't know whether you've got Widget online, we use. We've just put that on the computer, and we literally then just put, little stickers that you get, about 24 stickers on a page. We whiz that through the photocopier. We have piles of them in the office, and people just come along, and as the children are doing their learning, the TA literally just goes around and sticks it at the top of the page. But how easy for Ofsted then when they come in.
So easy. When because we're obviously new and just finding our feet with it and stuff, and it has been great. We do love it. Some feedback I have had from teachers is some of the children, because we use visual timetables, I'm sure you do as well. Some of our children go because we didn't know how to visually put it up for them. Learning Means the World, because obviously we do a 6 weeks and a 3 weeks, and it changes. some children, when they kept seeing Learning Means the World over and over again on their timetable, were like, oh, why am I doing Learning Means the World again? Because
Right.
it's like,
Yeah,
then they
we
found it
don't-
repetitive.
We put subjects up because I know,
We
and
do.
it shouldn't all be about Ofsted, but Ofsted are
Yeah.
going to come in and do a deep dive in, for example, history. So
Yeah.
we've got to get our children as best as possible, knowing that they're doing history. So we do have visual timetables. So it says the morning, as I've said, then it'll say lunchtime, and then it'll say, for example, geography, then it'll say art, and then it might say SMSE or whatever it is, as in our own
Okay.
discrete lesson. So we're not at any stage. The children don't know it's called Learning Means the World.
Oh, they don't.
They know it. They're doing the topic Athens, Greeks versus Sparta or whatever. They know the topic name or Land Ahoy. Then within the topic of Land Ahoy, the teacher then makes sure they specifically say we are
What
now
they're doing that afternoon.
geography. And today's geography, they then start with what did we do last time? What are we doing today? And then at the end of the lesson, where are we going next?
So are you following this, are you following the sequence that's at the beginning of the books? Because
we follow that sequence. So what we do at the beginning is we spent a lot of time in the first year doing something called time planners. So basically, let me just see if I can, I don't know if I've definitely got one, but we go down the front page of the contents with all the different titles, and then next to it, we know that we do 6 hours a week of dimensions. So we know that a 6-week topic, we've got 36 hours. Okay, so we then go through that booklet and we write down next to each heading how long we are going to spend on each one.
Okay, I do that.
The second year we then went through and we adapted that, knowing that the year before, no, you need longer on that, you need shorter on that. So we've got unit planners basically to help us say how long everything's going to be.
So you know in advance, like next week I'll be doing geography on like a Tuesday afternoon, history on a...
No, well I don't, and this does slightly worry me that if Ofsted phone me now and say you've got a geography deep dive,
when you're teaching geography,
I couldn't tell you definitely what everybody's doing this afternoon. I don't know whether it's geography. So what I'm going to have to do is when I get the call, unless any of you lot have had it, we had it
in the summer, like literally a week before we broke up, but we hadn't implemented Learning Means the World. We hadn't implemented Learning Means the World yet.
Oh, right.
But
so
this is one of my concerns as well, because I don't have an overview.
I'm going to go round them because you do get a gap, don't you, between the two calls. I'm going to run round them and just say, where are you up to in your booklet? What have you got? Because if they say I want a geography deep dive and I've got no geography going on at all, then we're going to struggle, aren't we? But they've got to appreciate also the approach that we do and meets the needs of our pupils. And if there's no lessons going on in that subject, then they're going to have to look at the books. I'm going to stand strong by this is our curriculum. We're not going to do lessons just for you because you're coming in. You've got to fit in with us, and I'm going to be quite strong on that. So I will go around and quickly find out what subjects they're doing.
Lindsay,
sorry Elaine.
Lindsay, can you chip in on this please and talk about Ofsted? You had them a few weeks ago, so maybe it's a good time for you to say something.
Thank you, Elaine. We had Ofsted, and we were just saying there that they didn't have an issue with the fact that some subjects aren't taught all the time, that some books won't have those in, that one might be heavily music and the other one might heavily be PSHE. They were actually okay with that kind of aspect of it, because they were happy that the coverage of the curriculum was there, which was really, for us was fantastic, because we were only three weeks in to the curriculum when Ofsted came.
They gave us a choice in the phone call, didn't they? They actually asked, they said, right, what are you actually teaching on the Tuesday afternoon? So they gave us that. So while Lindsay was on the phone call, they gave me the opportunity to quickly zoom around and actually go around the school and say, right, what is actually being taught, so they could actually see that. So that kind of is the reason why 2 of our deep dives existed, because that was what was being taught throughout the school on the Tuesday afternoon. So they wanted obviously reading as a deep dive, and then they wanted maths as well, our deep dive. But then the other 2, they were quite happy for those to be in whatever areas we're actually going to go on. I mean, we wanted ICT, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we made sure that, but then the other one, it was kind of led by just what was being taught on the Tuesday afternoon.
But they spent a lot of time talking to children, a lot. Didn't spend very while they were walking around, they looked in books to see what was going on in lessons, but they didn't ask for any books to look at, didn't really look at writing books. Did look at some RE books because that was part of it. They did a bit of a shallow puddle in history and geography as well. Wanted to know about how we assess, how that systematic approach to retention of knowledge kind of was going to happen. Now, 3 weeks in, it wasn't happening because it was 3 weeks in. So subject leaders, we got subject leaders to kind of sit with Ofsted and explain to them how we are going to do that and how it will work for us in the future. So you know, the Kahoot quizzes, they looked at one of those.
Yeah, so on the Wednesday afternoon, because they wanted to make sure that we were constantly checking the children's knowledge, because our children aren't a particularly chatty bunch of children, unfortunately. So they weren't giving that much in a lot of the conversations. So Katie, our ICT lady, is fantastic. She created in her class, she brought forward and did a Kahoot quiz with them through Dimensions on that afternoon. And the lead inspector went to see that. And he really liked the Kahoot quiz and how that embedded that knowledge. He said we needed to also build on that as well with ourselves, our school community. But that helped secure the good judgment.
Yeah.
I was just going to echo what Lindsay and Steve said. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure for your books to look right, and yes, we agree with that, and that's fair enough. But don't underestimate how much they're interested just in children. They want to speak to know. The books can look as good as you want them to look, but if the children don't know or demonstrate what is in those books, then that's where the stickiness comes. So we are now looking to really upskill our children, make sure our children are good, confident talkers, and obviously Elaine's curriculum does help us with that with regards to communication. So one of our areas now that we're going to focus on is make sure that we've got good groups of children who can support our subject leaders and who can also talk about the subject and really show off what's happening. So it's a really, really important point here. The books are important, but not as important as talking to children.
Okay, that's great to hear.
And obviously that is a bit of a disadvantage for children who've got speaking and language, you know.
And I'm sure there would be allowances for that, I'm sure. You know,
I've got 78%, I've got some who are non-verbal. So, you know, I can do as much as I can.
That would be different for us. I think we have a lot of, you know, as part now as moving forward after Ofsted, I kind of redesigned my school development plan on the back of what was said. Yeah. So we are now focusing on the oracy skills of our children because they're not confident speakers, you know, and I did say to them, you know, they have had 2 years off school as well. Did give us some leeway for that, you know, but he wants the depth of knowledge to be there. Now, how they would assess that, and I'm sure it would be different in your environment. But that was kind of our Dimensions does that perfectly though, because of the way it's set up and the group work and the practical nature of it, and that was what came about. What it was with us is kind of making sure, and again it was really early, so I said if you'd come back in 6 months' time, you probably would have seen a lot of those things happening. But for us, it was a case of you could talk about the activity, but really underpinning that knowledge. But of course, they were excited about the activities because the activities were really good. So they were just talking about what they were doing rather than the learning behind it. So that is for us something we're focusing on.
Well, we're doing Kahoot all the time. That's totally embedded here. So I'd say at least once a week we're doing Kahoot. So they're all au fait with that. The biggest problem is whether the iPads can all connect, and technology is more the problem. But
we're also quite happy that we could pick the children as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't any of this, right, we want the first child in the register, the 16th child in the register. Literally, this is with all the groups and all the deep dives. In fact, in every you know, we could pick every child, we can pick the books and everything. So you might have a little bit more scope, that you may have some children who are a bit more chatty in your setting even. I mean, that was a mistake we made in the maths deep dive, and this is part of my fault, is that we tried to pick a cross section of children of different abilities. And so obviously some of our lower ability children in maths aren't as you know, chatty and haven't got that ability to do that, so they just didn't speak. Whereas with hindsight, we should have literally just sent our brightest and our best in every meeting. You know, they didn't seem to be that bothered about seeing a cross section of ability. They just wanted to hear kids talk about at length about stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing those kind of things. What might be beneficial is I might pop out an email to all our member schools who have been Ofsteding, and just a couple of little note, like, you know, sort of bullet points on what you found, and we can share that with our other schools, would be really, really useful. I'm obviously aware we've got quite a small group today, but if you wouldn't mind doing that, that would be amazing. Just, you know, kind of the things that you took away from it as being a dimension school, and a reasonably new dimension school as well, would be brilliant. So I want to say thank you very much to Carolyn today for your information and sharing your school with us. It's been really, really exciting and informative to hear what's going on at Orrets Meadow, and I hope that you've all been able to take something away from that you might want to put into your school. I know that Sophie's got some ideas now, which is really nice to see and hear. Little bit of a shameless plug for our conference that is going to be taking place on the 10th of March next year at the Birmingham Botanical Gardens. We've picked a nice central UK location. Hopefully people can attend. There's an email going out with a link to tickets for that to all our member schools. Elaine, has that email gone?
Yeah, I bought two.
Yeah, Carolyn's already booked on.
I bought two.
Good. If you haven't had it yet, then please just let us know, or we can send it again. I will put my social media hat on, and I'll be starting to get it all over our social media info. So hopefully you won't miss it, and maybe a subliminal messaging might help you think about it even in your sleep. So thank you very much for everybody today for joining us. I know it's been tough in schools the last week or two, especially with cases going up and staff shortages and people having to cover. So thank you. I hope you can join us again. We'll probably have our next webinar into the new year, and obviously I'll let you all know what that's going to be and get you informed and up to date on what's going on with us. And I think, unless Elaine's got anything that you'd like to share.
Happy Christmas is in order on the 1st of December, isn't it? We'll say,
we'll
wish you all a happy Christmas. You'll be pleased to know we are inundated at the moment with new schools and new inquiries, which is fab. Thank you to all of you who promote us on forums and websites and whatever else. We really, really appreciate it. We're having multi-academy trusts with 7 schools coming in at a time and so on, so things are really gathering pace. So but thank you so much, those of you, particularly Carolyn, came in very early days, took a chance, and it's paid off. So that's brilliant. We're really pleased. And congratulations to West Bolden on their, great Ofsted. And they're not the only ones as well. Woo woo. So thanks everyone for joining, and have a great break when Christmas finally comes.
Yes, keep going. You've only got a little bit longer. Keep on trucking.
That's it.
And,
not long to go. Okie dokie.
And rest.
Right, bye from me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.